This presentation is about my research I undertook to help me find my target audience in my social action video. My social action video will be about trying to encourage people to participate in sport, as well as talk about how discrimination can lead to people not to play sports, or how they're influenced to not play sport. What is qualitative and quantitative research? Qualitative research uses words and qualities, so that's like written work, whereas quantitative uses numbers and qualities such as, or just numbers really in general. What is primary and secondary research? Primary research is research that you've collected by yourself, such as a questionnaire or survey, whereas secondary research is research collected by someone else, and then you then get that information collected, so using the internet and using books as an example. My primary qualitative research that I undertook was a focus group. A focus group is a type of primary research. Is where a small group of people talk together, share their opinions. Most of the time there's a moderator who takes notes on their findings and instructs the focus group. Some can last only 5 to 10 minutes, whereas some others can last up to more than 20 minutes long. What did I find out from my focus group? They said that the media doesn't really promote participation in sports, so they don't show enough campaigns trying to promote people to do sport, for example. They said that social media for young people was making them participate in sports, and encourage them, as they're like types of challenge videos they suggested, such as like yoga challenges and stuff, which they promote on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and then that might give them, for the people who use social media, it might encourage them. So they suggested to me to target the over 30s, as they don't use social media as much as younger generations, so I should target them in my video. Primary quantitative research I used, I gathered this from a survey. I use a site, SurveyMonkey Online. The advantages of this is that it's easy to get people to do it, as you can just send them a link with either an email, text, or Facebook Messenger and stuff like that, whereas the disadvantage is that you can only ask up to 10 questions unless you pay for it. The first question that I asked was about gender. What's your gender? So I got 9 female responses, 11 male responses, and 1 other response. I asked this question to find out, to split up the answers to help me find my target audience, so it's easier to do so. The age group: 1 person was aged 11 to 16, 12 people aged 17 to 20, 3 people 21 to 30, 4 people 41 to 40, 1 person 41 to 50. So the majority of the people who did my questionnaire, over 55%, were people aged 17 to 20. I also asked this to find out, obviously to help me find my target audience, depending on their answers that they give. How many hours of moderate exercise do you perform? Was this question 3. The NHS recommends that you do at least 150 minutes of moderate exercise, which is about 2.5 hours per week. This can involve walking and cycling, as it says there. So everyone does at least 1 to 3 hours, which is the minimum and recommended amount by the NHS. So this is something I shouldn't be worried about too much and trying to do in my video, my social action video. Question 4 is asking how many hours do you perform vigorous exercise, such as running, playing football, and playing other sports that involve just cardiovascular endurance, pretty much. 7 people do 0 hours, 6 people do 1 to 3 hours, 7 people do 4 to 6 hours, 1 does 7 to 9 hours. So due to the fact that 7 people said they do 0 amount and the recommended is at least 1 hour or just over 1 hour, is something I should be focused on in my social action video and try to tackle that issue. Question 5 is, where do you do your exercise? So 17 people said they do it traveling to work or school. 2 do it as a profession. 4 people do it as unpaid sport, well, play for sports team that are unpaid. 7 do it for hobbies, and 2 people do it for their education. This was you can answer multiple options in this question. So obviously, nearly 80% of them travel to work and school by doing any type of exercise. So moderate exercise, for example, they can walk to school or work. So only 7 people do it as their hobby, which is a third. 4 people do it as sports team unpaid. So I'll probably try and tackle the people who aren't doing it as hobbies and sports and try to make them involved in sports rather than doing it as a complementary type of, or have to walk to work, have to walk to school, and try and get them to do it outside of that area, outside of that. The next question I asked was question number 6, which is, ask them how important was sport or physical activity to you. 1 being not important and 10 being extremely important. The average answers was 5.8, and from this answer I had 12 male respondents who had an average of 8 as their rating, whereas out of the 9 female respondents, they had an average of 4 stars in their rating. Despite the fact that there were the amount of respondents weren't that far off. 9 out of the 12 male respondents were aged in between 17 and 20, whereas only 4 female respondents were aged under the age of 20. This meant that this was invalid because it showed that younger people were more likely to participate in sport, or younger males, as in didn't get more of a variety of age groups in the male side of the answers. Following on from that question, asked if they got lower than 5 stars, or if they answered lower than 5 stars, I would ask them why they felt that it's not important to them, and their main responses were that they weren't bothered to do sport or exercise, and they didn't have enough time in the day. So I might tackle those areas to try and make it more of a hobby rather than they have to do sport, and try and make them find time in their day to do a little short period of exercise. Question 8 asked that, if they felt that the media was trying to encourage sport. The sites were asked in a focus group to get more of an understanding of. Question 8 asked people if they felt that the media was encouraging sport enough. 6 answered yes, 6 answered yes, 11 said no, and 4 said they were not too sure. So a lot of people did say no, 52%. So this is a good reason for me to make a social action video, because they don't feel like the media is promoting that enough. So hopefully mine will be a good source of media that they can look to hopefully get them to participate in more sport. Question 9, I asked if they've ever felt if they were discriminated. 2 said yes, 18 said no, and 1 said other. I kind of messed up when I asked this question, because it should have been, the options to answer should have been just no, and then other as in explain if you were discriminated. But the person who said other said they weren't allowed to play in the netball team as the one that they answered other, and 2 people said yes. So this is a small issue that I should maybe consider in my social action video. as there is discrimination or in sport, as that's what they said in the answers. Right, where did I get my secondary research? I got my information from the BBC, which I found some stats and figures about how many people did sports and comparing the different years if the numbers increasing or decreasing. I looked at the NHS to find out the average. I looked at the NHS to find out the recommendations of how much sport you should do and how sport is beneficial for you. YouTube and Sport England to find out some various campaigns about to see if there's any campaigns about promoting sport. And yeah, that's my secondary research and where I got it from. What did I find out from my secondary research? I found out the physical and mental benefits of exercise, why people may not choose to exercise, and the campaign on the right called This Girl Can is talking about, as you can see in the title, it's talking about whatever your size, ability, and your body shape, to be honest, in sport. Sport is always there for you. You can always try it out. It doesn't really matter. You shouldn't be thinking other people are judging you to try and do sport, or you should try and, well, it's just basically telling you to try and do it. Alright, from this, my target audience will be people aged 20 to 50, as from my survey I didn't get many responses from people that age and people from that age and gender, and from the answers that I did get, they weren't participating in many sports or didn't find it important to them. So I'll try to encourage them to do at least 1 hour of vigorous exercise per week. So that's either running or playing a sport or doing intense physical activity. How useful was my research? I don't think my primary research was very valid because I only ran one focus group and I didn't run as many as I was supposed to, as I was meant to do 3. Also from the survey, over 50% of people were 17 to 20, so I didn't get more of a variety of age groups answering it. However, this did help me to find my my target audience for the social action video. So in the future, if I were to try and improve my research, I would try and get 3 focus groups done, as well as a variety of age in the in the surveys, rather. Sorry. So overall, the research that I did from my primary and secondary research is what I'll use in the video itself. The video will be interviewed structure, so I'll be asking people why they do sport, and hopefully they talk about how it helps them, maybe how it's beneficial for them, so I can try and encourage other people, and obviously so show some sports in the background, show some types of exercises that they can get on and do at home or during their spare time, to try and increase the amount of vigorous exercise that women do perform, which is who I'm targeting for my social action video. So thank you for listening, and that's my research and presentation.